diseases.
Okay.
When asthmatics are stressed, they get attacks.
Okay.
So these are reasons why you shouldn't be stressed medically.
The diagnosis, symptoms, and treatment of various ailments expounded and demystified.
If you have peptic ulcer that is being treated, then you may want to avoid spicy foods because that increases the discomfort. Again, would advise that your meals are regular if you have peptic ulcer to prevent hunger pangs.
Okay.
So these are helpful lifestyle things.
Tune in to Doctor Who, our interactive health program here on Sweet Melodies 94.3 FM. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. as our radio doctors dissect various topics pivotal to your health and well-being. Doctor Who, saving every heartbeat.
Good morning, everyone. It's that time of your Wednesday morning again when we talk about your health. My name is Kweku Sampson. The program is Doctor Who. I'm your regular host for the show. Glad to come your way again. And today I have with me in the studios Dr. Stella Boame, who is one of our radio doctors, and we'll be talking about chest pain. And so if you have any questions, you can send them through to the number 0279-100-600. That's 0279-100-600. Dr. Stella, you're welcome. It's good to have you.
Good to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
It's weird asking a doctor that question, but yeah. Wonderful.
It's nice.
Okay, so someone trying to call already early as well today,
yes.
So that you all can sort of guide the discussion, if you may.
Mm-hmm.
So the number is 0279-100-600. That's 0279-100-600. Like I said, we're talking about chest pain, so please limit your questions to that. Okay. Dr.
Right.
Stella, please take us away.
So, I think as Kweku said, thank you listeners for tuning in.
Yeah.
We want to talk about chest pain today, and today I'd like to send in texts, send in calls about any chest pain questions that you have.
Okay.
Because sometimes it can be different, it can vary, and the causes and treatments for it may really vary.
Right.
So do call, let us know what you are feeling.
Awesome.
So the reason we want to talk about chest pain is that, again, the reasons for chest pain are very many, very varied. Mm-hmm. And some of them are dire emergencies.
Okay.
And in fact, for health personnel, those are the reasons we usually bring it up.
Right.
The big ones that we would want people to think about and seek attention and help for as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So the chest, where's the chest? We all know where our chest is, but it's the area from below the neck to the upper part of the tummy. Okay, that's the area we'll call your chest, and of course between the two arms. So there are different things that live in that area called your chest. Okay, so there's of course your skin and the subcutaneous tissue. There's bones, there's joints, there's some cartilage, there's muscles, there's blood vessels, big blood vessels pouring into and coming out of your heart.
Okay.
And then there's your lungs, okay, and the heart itself is there also.
Okay.
Then a few other associated things like your diaphragm is beneath your chest.
Okay.
Okay, and there's your esophagus through which food passes into your stomach.
Okay.
Okay, and what else is important? Then at the back also is your spine.
Okay.
The part of your spine that crosses your chest.
Okay.
So just from this variety of things in that area, there's a whole lot of things that can go wrong or right in the chest.
So
and
the
a pain in the chest
from
can be from a huge number of things.
Okay.
So you may be thinking your you are having a heart attack and your doctor is looking at you very casually and you are thinking, is this person serious? But really he's serious, but because he doesn't think from your symptoms and the associated things that it may be your heart. Okay. You may also casually walk in and feel that, well, I feel fine, so I've never had any medical history, I don't have hypertension, I don't have cholesterol, so I'm fine. And your doctor is now running all over the place because he is suspecting that this may be a big one, a blood clot, a heart problem, you know. So it's varied and would like it to be at the fore of our mind somewhat. Okay. So do call in with any questions.
Wonderful. The number again is 0279 100 600. That's 0279 100 600. Today we're opening the phone lines, Ali, so you're without excuse. You can text or WhatsApp as well, same number. Okay.
So I'm going to start with maybe the big ones so that if we don't have time, we are good. So I'm going to talk first about the cardiovascular things in the heart. That's things related to the heart and the blood vessels. We have a caller
already.
Wow.
So let's take this call. Wow, it's nice to be picking calls this early. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. What's your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Doreen Mensa.
Swanley, okay.
Me pacho na so me titia na me power. Me do rice, yam, different na me power and pacho go
Okay. Inti cough soon after you eat, and she's mentioned particular things. So two things may be, in fact, no, one main thing is what I'm thinking about. There may be an allergy that she has been unaware of. And I think so because of the specific things that are related to the cough, number one. And secondly, because of the season a little bit. This transition from the cool, sort of warm weather, now it's suddenly raining, it's very hot. These transitions in weather can trigger allergies, especially the ones related to cough and breathing difficulties. So I think that any time that this happens, it's good to see your health provider. We may listen to your chest. We may take a more full history and see how the cough is related. For instance, do you cough also at night? These may be related to allergic condition, and we'll look at it. Another thing may be reflux. If soon after eating you have the cough, it may be that when you eat, sometimes you regurgitate, sometimes it's like belching, but a bit more intense. Say we did area we kiss you know, some of the food comes up, you know, and then it can enter your larynx.
Belching is kisu in tree.
Wow, yes, you learn a lot of medical tree. So it comes up and it can come up enough to enter your windpipe. So that's one reason that people may cough a lot after eating. The ENT people will call it laryngeal reflux. So it comes all the way up and then enters the voice box and makes you cough. So into one of these two. So please see your health provider and let's look at it. Yes.
So could this be an allergic reaction, by the way?
Yes, it could be. So the particular things, the rice, the yam and things may be triggering an allergy and making you cough. Yes.
That's interesting. And cough is related to the chest, right?
Yes.
So that whole area.
Yes, that's why she called, because it's her chest thing.
That's a good one. Okay, you can call as well 0279 100 600, 0279 100 600. Call in now if you have any questions, or you can also send a text or WhatsApp. Okay.
So I was going to start with the heart, so I still will. And for the heart, the big thing that we are looking at in the chest is chest pain, is heart attacks. So a heart attack is when suddenly the blood that is flowing to the heart itself, because the heart also has to be alive to work. So the blood that is going to the heart to keep it alive, one of the best vessels or tubes becomes suddenly blocked. And when that sudden block happens, I mean, this is the biggest one. When it blocks, then that part of the heart muscle is at risk of dying. So let's say you have a pump that needs 4 parts to work well. Or let's say a balloon even. It needs to be a football.
Okay.
It needs to be all together to keep the pressure and for it to work well.
Right.
Okay, but if one part of the ball, okay, suddenly, I don't know, for some reason, it's become very thin. It could be that during the match, that part can easily break, or it won't maintain the pressure and the ball will become flabby. Okay, so that's what happens if one part of the heart's blood vessels blocks. Then that part of the heart is like we're all trying to come together and squeeze, but only you can't squeeze. Do you see? So the pressure to squeeze the blood reduces, and suddenly the heart goes into failure. Okay, so that is the big picture where you see people in movies. You know, somebody annoys the person and he holds his chest and collapses, and they have to call the ambulance and things. Sometimes they survive, sometimes they die. Do you see? But it is a real picture of a blood vessel in the heart being blocked suddenly. Now, if it is not treated instantly or almost instantly, that part of the heart muscle can die. Okay. And if it is a big enough area, then you cannot survive on the blood that is pumping out. So it can lead to sudden deaths, and it can also lead to a sudden change in lifestyle, because suddenly your heart cannot pump the way it used to ever again. You know, and then suddenly you cannot do the activities that you used to be able to do. Now that's the extreme case where a big blood vessel.
We have a caller. Sorry, I'm just seeing this. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. My name is Nashida. I'm calling from Pabunya.
Okay, all right. Please go ahead, Nashida.
I sat down way back when I was a student. So as I was growing, I don't know. Now all of a sudden, as I've grown up, my knee, they took me to Kolebu. They injected. They described so many tasks for me to take it. I have done so many X-rays and they check it. The last one I went to Atomic. In about last year, they check it. There's no arthritis in it. I did so many X-rays. And I don't know. It pains me as if there is a salt inside. And sometimes I cannot walk and it na me toguso. Like you see that one of and I don't feel uncomfortable. I don't know. Some people say it's weight, but I look to my diet. I eat once, and the fatness is in our family. So when my dad was alive, he has taken care of me not to eat any food just like that. But
okay, madam.
Right.
So I see it. Thank you. Sometimes if you've had an injury long ago, it can result in arthritis later on. Now I heard her say that she's done X-rays and they said it's not arthritis. So sometimes too, apart from the arthritis that we can see with the bones, the tendons can be affected. Now I'm answering this question, but I'm not encouraging more questions that are not from the chest.
About the chest, please. When she said she fell, I thought she was because it can fall on your chest. So I thought maybe it was related, but
So I think that you should only see an orthopedic surgeon from now on. Don't see general doctors with this knee, because we've gone beyond that. So if you are seeing a doctor, it should be a bone doctor or a bone surgeon. They know more what they are doing about it. I don't think you should take normal X-rays too anymore. You should do an MRI test. Okay, so see your doctor, maybe see your GP, and ask for an MRI test of the knee. Then you see your bone surgeon with the MRI and take it from there. My last comment is, if you have been told to use an assistive device like a cane, use it. In fact, I think you should walk. If you're not going somewhere important, use a walking stick. It takes some pressure off the knee and you'll be more comfortable. And physio. So now, no more knee.
Yes, please.
So, madam, I hope that helps. So back to the heart attacks. The heart attack is the most severe thing that can happen to the blood vessels in the heart. But long before you have a heart attack, your chest may warn you. So you may have warning signs of chest pain with exertion. Let's say you walk up a flight of stairs and you feel chest pain, or you try to do some exercise, your chest hurts. As you are walking, your chest hurts. You have to sometimes stop and rest before you can continue. And sometimes with this pain, you are a bit breathless. Sometimes with this pain, you see that you are very uncomfortable. It feels like a weight in the middle of your chest, or something that it's like, hey, this pain, I feel like I can even die.
Yeah.
You understand? That's how people generally feel. Medically, we call it angina.
Okay.
Angina in the chest, and it means that the blood flow to your heart muscle is compromised. So this is the early warning system of your body, and you have to pay attention to it.
Okay.
So if every time you do some exertion, your heart pains you, it squeezes you, sometimes it's burning, sometimes it feels as if something is sitting on your chest heavily, all these things, especially with exercise, and it goes away after rest, we don't take it lightly. You should have it checked. Okay. And if you talk to your doctor about it, one of the first things they may ask for is an ECG test, where we'll attach some wires to your chest and see how the heart's activity is, so that we can treat early.
Okay. Please, ECG is electrocardiogram.
Electrocardiogram.
Right?
Yes, Dr. Kweku.
It's no electricity company of Ghana.
No. Yes, electrocardiogram.
Okay.
So you should have that done.
Okay.
And then sometimes we'll do some other blood tests to see whether your heart is being strained, whether the heart muscle is struggling.
Okay.
And then we'll give you appropriate treatment.
Okay.
Now, if this happens and suddenly becomes severe, you see, wherever you are, you should, if possible, take aspirin. That's the emergency medicine you can take wherever you are.
Okay.
And then head to the hospital as soon as you can, as quickly as you can.
Okay. Wonderful. 0279 100600. That is 0279 100 600. You can call in. We opened the phone lines early today, so you can call in, or you can send a text message or a WhatsApp. I think we should look at a few messages that have come in. This one says, "Good morning. Please, I have a weird rash on my chest, so it's itching as we speak. I've used a number of creams, but it's not working."
Okay. I did say that the chest has skin as well, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay. So the rash on your chest, a rash could be a huge number of things. So it's not good for me to speak to it over here. The fact that it's so itchy makes it sound maybe allergic, maybe fungal. Those would be top on my list, allergy or fungal. But it's best if a health person sees it before they can prescribe.
Okay.
Now, if it's a long-standing thing that has been itching and there all the time for maybe a month or more, it's more likely to be maybe a fungal infection. Allergies tend to come and go when you are exposed to the thing. Okay. Now, is it in the area where you put your chain on? Then I'm going more with an allergy. Yes. A contact allergy. So think about it like that.
Okay. All right. This one says, "I normally feel sharp pains in my heart and at the back, same time once a while, for more than 5 years now. After like 3 to 4 minutes, it will stop. I usually feel it at night, mostly. Please help." Okay.
So I think I'm going to use this question to go more into the GIT. GIT is gastrointestinal system. So the intestinal causes of chest pain. I mentioned that one of the things in the chest is your esophagus, which connects your mouth to your stomach. Okay, now because the stomach has acid, the stomach has very strong acid to dissolve bones and work on the food, and some of the enzymes need to work in that environment. And the stomach is the only part of the body designed to contain acid. So it protects itself from the acid. But acid anywhere else will irritate it. So as soon as food leaves the stomach, the next part of the stomach for the science students has base or alkali. So it neutralizes the acid.
Bases and acids. You remember that?
Yeah. So it's quickly neutralized.
All the paper test and things.
Yes.
So
right after the stomach, the acid is neutralized and the rest of the intestine does not experience acid. And that's how it should be. So anything that's upsets that balance will cause pain. And pain, I think I liked what I said earlier, is an early warning system that there's a problem. So the reason you have it in your chest is that the stomach acid is coming up the esophagus, and causing an irritation. That's one of the reasons I have for this question. The other reason will come later. So if you have stomach acid tracking up into the esophagus, you will have pain because that lining is not supposed to experience acid.
Okay.
So it irritates it and causes pain.
Okay.
One example is what the lady said. It makes her cough,
Yeah.
and probably is causing you pain. So you should talk to your doctor about it and then let them decipher if that is really the problem. Then they will give you things that reduce the acidity in the esophagus, and 2, they may give you things that promote things going downwards in your intestine instead of coming upwards, because things are supposed to track slowly downwards, and nothing is supposed to reflux and come back. But if it refluxes acid into the esophagus, then you will have pain. So sometimes it's just, you mentioned pain in the night, and that may be that you eat late, lie down, and the undigested food, the stomach, once food enters the stomach, it produces acid. So if you go and lie down with that acid and it trickles into your esophagus because you are now lying flat, then it can cause you pain in the night. Okay, so reflux is up on my list. Now the second thing on my list, which is another reason it may track up, is some people have a weak sphincter. From your esophagus into your stomach, there's a sphincter, something that keeps it closed, so that things don't track up. Even when you are sleeping, we all sleep, and food doesn't come back out of our mouths because something keeps it stayed down. And if, you may feel that your rectum is full and you need to use the washroom, or your bladder is full, you need to pee, but you are able to control it. Babies can't yet, but after a certain age you can control it because there are sphincters that you can control. External sphincters. That one deep inside, you can't control it, but the body knows how to control it. Once there's food in the stomach, it knows that I must shut the sphincter so that things don't track up. Yours may be weak, and so things keep tracking up. That's why for 5 years you still have the problem. I'm sure doctors have tried to solve it, but if the sphincter is weak, you may keep having that problem, and you shouldn't eat late and sleep soon after. Finally, some people have pancreas problems. Can give you pain that pushes all the way to the back. And some ulcers lower down in the duodenum, for instance, can give you a pain that it's like you feel it from the front as if it's pushing through all the way to the back. That can also be another kind of pain related to your intestine in the lower part of your chest. So see a doctor, describe it well, and you will get help.
Wonderful. This question has brought up a lot of
yes.
The number again is 0279 100 600, 0279 100 600 for call, text, or WhatsApp. This one says, please, does pain in the breast count for chest pain? I've had a pain for about a year in my left breast, but no lump.
Okay, it counts because today I mentioned, it's as if I intentionally mentioned all the things because there's muscle behind the breast. Pain inside the breast itself, it's one breast, so it's not likely, but there can be cyclical pain in the breast, and that is normal for some people.
Cyclical meaning is related to your
menstrual cycles. Yes. So every time before or during your menses you have pain, sometimes quite severe in the breast, and it's almost normal for some people. So we are not addressing that. But if apart from that you have breast pain, you said for about a year, inside the breast, maybe you should have a breast scan so that we are sure everything is normal. But behind the breast is muscle, the pectoralis muscle, and that can be painful, and for different reasons. Maybe it's inflamed. Sometimes there are joints. The breast, the hard bone in the middle of your breast is going to connect to the ribs, and there's some cartilage in there, and sometimes at these joints you can have pain. They can become inflamed, in a sense, the way you might have arthritis. Sometimes those little joints there can become inflamed. They can get quite chronic. We call it costochondritis. Pain in the bone and the cartilage in that chest area. So this prolonged pain may be something like that. And I would ask, do you have the pain with movement more? Let's say if you stretch or if you cough or if you make certain movements of your chest, if that aggravates the pain, then it's more likely to be a musculoskeletal chest pain, just that it's sitting in the area of your breast. And because there's a lot of public health about the breast, you are more mindful of it. But think it through and see your doctor, describe exactly where it is, and you will get some help.
Okay. All right, wonderful. I thought we have some questions on Facebook as well. We're streaming on there, so if you want to hit us up there, you can do that also. But I think we answered that question. Nashida.
Okay, she asked on Facebook as well, right?
So sorry, just
Nashida asked about the reflux.
The knee.
Okay.
Went to Kolebu, they've injected me. Yeah, so I think that's the first call we had.
That's it, yes.
Okay. All right, great. 0279 100 600, 0279 100 600. We're talking about chest pain today here on Dr. Who. I'm in the studios with Dr. Stella Buami. All right, this question says, good morning. Please, what would cause pain in the chest for a child who is asthmatic? Okay.
Oh, the children tend to say, I have chest pain when they have asthma symptoms. I mean, when they start to have the chest tightness, maybe an adult will say my chest feels tight.
Yeah.
But I find that the children tend to say chest pain. Also, the cough is quite intense with asthma.
Okay.
So they are treated, they will really cough and cough and cough. And because they are muscles, they get tired. Just like if you run when you are not used to running, you will have or when you start an exercise program, you will have pain. Yes. So after that intense cough,
story of my life. Go ahead.
Yes, they have pain. So some paracetamol may help. Once you are sure that the attacks are controlled, just give them paracetamol 3 times a day for a day or 2 to help them.
Okay, wonderful. 0279 100 600, 0279 100 600. Okay, Dr. Stella, let's move on.
So I just finished talking about the heart. Let me add that if you're having the heart attack pains, I mentioned that pain that gives you a feeling, a foreboding of death even. It's like, I feel I'm going to die. This pain is so terrible. Okay. But often there's also sweating. There's a fast heartbeat. There's weakness. Sometimes the person will collapse right in front of you. Some people feel nauseous. And some people may describe it almost like a heartburn. So it's important to be mindful of the other things that may be going with the heartburn. You know, many people will deal with their heartburn for a long time before they come to hospital. But suddenly, out of the blue, the person has a severe heartburn and is making a lot of noise about it. Think about the heart as well. Okay. So then we talked about the intestinal problems. We talked about reflux, and we even talked about pancreatic and lower duodenal ulcers and gastric ulcers, which can give you the pain boring all the way into your back. And that type of pain, if it's related to the intestine, is related to food. You either have food pain when you are very hungry, which can cause the night pain that the person has been having for 5 years, or food pain as soon as food falls in your stomach. You see, as soon as I start to eat, I have pain. You know, that can also be stomach ulcers, and it should be checked. Now, this is commoner earlier in life and into the middle ages. But if an older adult is suddenly complaining of pain that looks like ulcer pain, then you should see the doctor and carry the investigations through right to the end. Because sometimes stomach cancers can start out looking like stomach ulcers. So an endoscopy is even more important if you're an older adult having ulcer in quotes type pain, so that we catch things early and you get the best outcome for the condition. So the next thing we'll talk about is the lungs, I think. So we'll talk about the lungs. The big thing in the lungs is blood clots or pulmonary embolism. That's what can give you sudden catastrophic pain. So a person who, it can look a bit like a heart attack or the blood flow causes. Because in a sense it's a blood flow clot. If it's a If it's a clot, it means that you formed a clot, usually in the legs or some other part of the body, and a piece of the clot has broken off and moved through the blood system into the lungs and blocked a blood vessel in the lungs. Okay, now because you need the lungs to breathe, and the lungs will breathe and exchange the oxygen for it to go through the blood into the body. If you block a blood vessel, it's a major problem. The lungs themselves may die, number one, and number two, you won't get enough oxygen back into the system after gas exchange in the lungs. So it's a major big problem that can happen. And if it's a huge clot, then it can block a big blood vessel and just cut off the whole lung. So that is how it's a major problem. Okay. Now sometimes the clots can be very small, so they disperse in small blood vessels, and you can have things like cough and breathlessness. It can even look like a pneumonia or many other things. But the history that your doctor will take will help us to know that this is likely to be a blood clot. Okay. Now the thing with blood clots is, if you're having symptoms, you may have breathlessness, you may have a fast heartbeat, you may have cough. Okay, and you may have sometimes dizziness and feeling weak and feeling faint. But the big things are usually breathlessness, fast heartbeat, and a cough sometimes. And usually it's sudden. Okay, you don't have any history, you haven't had a temperature, you haven't been sick, you haven't had a flu, and suddenly you have this breathlessness and chest pain. Okay, so it's an emergency and you should get care as soon as possible. Okay. The other associated things which your doctor will probably ask you and help to make the diagnosis is a history of maybe being sedentary. Okay, so maybe you've traveled and had to sit for hours on end. You've had a funeral and had to sit. Excuse me.
Okay. Can take a quick break, maybe?
Yes.
All right, sure. Okay, wonderful. So we are back on. Yes, Dr. Stella.
Okay, excuse me.
No problem.
So the things that can go with it is being sedentary for a long time.
Okay.
So lying in a hospital bed for any other condition can trigger blood clots.
Okay.
Recent surgery can trigger blood clots, and especially surgery in the pelvic region. Okay, because maybe it immobilizes you more. Then I mentioned sitting for long hours. So somebody says, I just traveled in from, where do we get long flights? Maybe Australia, the US, and those things. Long flights, you just sat on the plane for hours and hours. If you have the predisposition to form clots, more than likely you will.
Okay.
Then even just a history of not moving much can make you predisposed to blood clots in the legs. Smoking, big one. Drinking, big one. Okay. So these things, your doctor will sort of glean a history of these things. And sometimes if you've had cancers, whether they are being treated or not, they can predispose to stasis and blood clots. Okay. So the history will bring out these things. So that plus this history of breathlessness, okay, can lead to a diagnosis of a pulmonary embolism, which is the blood clot in the lungs.
Okay.
Another thing that may have happened is you may have had pain, especially in your calves, the back of your legs, okay, where the clots usually form. Okay, there's a bit of stasis in your legs if you're not moving, and that's why we are encouraged to move. So the clots form there, and then now when you start moving, some of them may dislodge and get into your lungs and cause this problem.
Okay.
So prevention is activity. If you have to sit for long periods because your work demands that you just sit by your PC and work all day, you need to take a break every 2 hours at the least. or every hour if you've had a predisposition, if you're obese, if you've had recent surgery, if you smoke, if you drink, then every hour get up, walk around for 2 minutes and then sit again. Okay. If that is not an option because you fractured your leg, you cannot walk or something, then what we recommend in hospital is that you wriggle your toes very frequently. That wriggling your toes action pumps up the muscles in your calves and in your legs and squeezes the blood vessels so that there's circulation in your legs all the time. Okay, so that's very important. And doctors, if we have to admit you for a prolonged period, especially when we know you cannot walk around the ward, will give you medicine to prevent blood clots.
Okay.
So that's something we do. It's at the back of the doctor's mind all the time. So it should be at the back of your mind also. If you're taking long journeys and things, make sure you move. If you're having prolonged meetings, make sure you move periodically.
Okay. All right.
And if you're hosting long meetings, give people a chance to get up, sit down, move periodically. Okay, so that you can move.
Okay, wonderful. Number again is 0279 100 That's 0279 100 600. This one says, good morning. Please, my name is Kingsley from Achimota. I want to know how long you should take cough mixture for before your cough clears.
Not long. Okay, because when you have a cough, we need to know why you have the cough. It's another warning system by the body.
Okay.
So you need to know why and not just prevent or dampen the cough. So I would say 3 to 5 days generally. Okay. Because people will come to the clinic and say, if I come to think of it, I haven't been educating people too much on this in the consulting room. People sometimes say, I've taken one whole cough mixture bottle. The cough is still not done. I've bought another one. I'm almost halfway through and it's still not done. Therefore, I've come. Probably by the time you finish that first bottle, you should be seeking attention. Okay, because a cough just lasts maybe 2 or 3 days. And unless you are sure that I have allergies and I got exposed to smoke, and therefore I'm coughing, so I know exactly why, I expect it to go away in a few days. When I take this cough mixture, it gives me some relief. So you take that and you expect relief in a short while. You might also know that I'm asthmatic. I didn't bring my inhaler to work. The cough started. So as soon as I got home, I did something about it and it got better. There's a bit of a lingering cough, but I expect that in 2 or 3 days, it will get better. That's another scenario. And maybe I have a cold, so it started with runny nose, sneezing, and now I have a cough. I know it will go. I didn't have a temperature. I didn't feel weak. I didn't have any headaches. It's really just a cold. Those ones we know will go away. So you drink a lot of water, maybe take some vitamin C, boost your immunity a bit. And you are using a cough mixture because maybe you are a call center person. Your work is to talk. So while you are at work, you take something to suppress the cough. This is fine for 3 days, maximum 5 days. Beyond that, you should seek attention.
Okay.
Because coughs can be infections, allergies, it can be a pulmonary embolism, a blood clot. It can be any number of things. So we need to get to the bottom of it.
Okay. All right. This one says, please, if you have pain when you breathe in, is this normal?
No, it's not. You shouldn't have pain when you breathe in. Different things can cause it. Pneumonias can cause it. Inflammation of the pleura. There's a covering around the lungs. Okay, so as you stretch, you may feel pain. Okay, with a deep inhalation. So that can be a cause of chest pain. Then the musculoskeletal pains that we talked about earlier. I mentioned that the muscles, the bones, the joints can be painful. And that happens when you breathe. So you take a deep breath and there's pain somewhere. It shouldn't be there. Okay, so if it's not gone in 3 to 5 days, see a doctor, describe where it is. Let's find what the diagnosis is so we don't ignore it.
Okay. All right. This one says, please, I'm a teacher and a student of mine in class 5 says that they were beaten at home, hard in the back, and they've been having pain in the back and chest for about 3 months. Is this normal?
No, it's not.
3 months is a long time
It's
for
a long
one
time.
beating.
Okay.
That's
So if it was hard enough, then it's. I don't want to think that there may have been a shift because they are bones and joints.
right.
So you can put a joint, you can dislocate a joint. Let me put it that way.
In your
You can
back or
dislocate a
chest.
joint, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it should be looked
You have
at.
to get
Maybe maybe an X-ray to be sure that.
Okay.
Yes. Some of the
I hope
cracks too
taking
are
it to the hospital
small.
is not, and maybe the teacher should take. I mean,
Yes, maybe.
Yes.
Sometimes there's just a small crack in a rib or something, and it's even difficult to see on X-ray, but it should be checked.
okay.
3 months of chest pain is
It's a
significant.
long time.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Wonderful. I think we've exhausted our questions. We'll have
Okay.
to be wrapping up shortly.
Okay.
So Dr.
Then let
Star.
me just maybe loosely. We've talked about big things,
Yeah.
but that last question even brought to mind that the one before, that there are many other things in the chest. Okay, so there's the coverings of the lungs, and even if we just stick within the lungs, cancers can form in the lungs. Okay, so something that seems like chest pain and a bit of cough and things, if it's prolonged, it should be checked and a conclusion should be reached as to why you have the chest pain, because some things can be mild, okay, but some things can be the beginning of a severe problem. So just work with your healthcare provider. If it's a simple enough thing, within a few days, 3 to 5 days, as I said, most things will end. But if they haven't, then let your health provider take the good history, do the examining, do the labs or the imaging, chest x-rays as they are needed, and find the diagnosis and treat it.
Okay.
Serious things can be in there, so we want to just make sure it's not that. Then we'll give you treatment for the easy things,
Okay.
and then you'll be free.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, so if you want to reach a doctor off air after the show, you can call the number I'll be giving shortly. But Dr. Stella, the promo at the hospital, is it over? Someone was asking me before I came
The
on.
promo is over. A few people did call in and tell us that for so and so reasons we cannot make it in March.
Okay.
And so we'll come in April. So we are encouraging you this week.
Okay.
If you called in and made such a request,
Okay.
please come in this week.
Only for those who called.
Yes. And
All
a
right.
few others who find that you are in this chest pain group,
Right.
then please come and do it so
Okay.
that we are sure that, yes. So if you've had any of these, I mean, I didn't even think about the promo when we talked about chest
Yeah,
pain, but it's
yeah.
brought out some things.
Yeah.
So do come check your cholesterol. Let's make sure that it's not causing your blood vessels to narrow.
Okay.
Let's do those things.
Okay.
Now, there's a promo though in the Saint Gamaliel's Hospital.
Oh, there is. Okay.
This is our sister hospital, which is in the Amrahia area.
Okay.
So you can call the same number and
Okay.
we'll give you directions.
Okay.
They're on the Google Maps though.
Okay.
So Gamaliel, Gamaliel.
Okay.
So if you Google that in, you can find them as well. You might be in the Dodowa, Adenta area and think we are too far away in North Kandishi. Do
Okay.
go
Okay.
and do your checkup till the 18th of March. Okay.
April, you mean?
Till the 18th of April, yes. But
Okay.
if you called in and said that I can't come, I can only come in April, then please come this week so that we
Okay.
can end it up.
All right, wonderful. So the number you can reach a doctor on after to book an appointment and such is 020 018 2692. Okay, 020 018 2692. For the last time, 020 018 2692. Next week, God willing, we'll come your way with another wonderful edition of Doctor
Next
Who.
week we'll
Yes.
probably talk about, we've talked about physical health a lot. We may talk about mental health next
Okay,
week.
okay, great.
Probably depression or bipolar illnesses, yes.
Good one.
Yes,
Okay.
and then later on we'll talk about sleep. So please
Okay.
stay tuned.
Yay. A lot of interesting topics ahead,
Yes.
but make sure that you're tuned in all the time. Next week, God willing, we'll come your way again with another wonderful discussion here on Doctor Who. My name is Kweku Sampson. Thank you so much, Dr. Stella, once
Thank
again
you.
for coming. Have a wonderful afternoon, listeners, and stay tuned in.